Welcome to Spiritual Sanctuary, Wisdom for the Divine Feminine. I'm your host, Bertina, and I'm so grateful that you're here. This is a space created for slowing down, for remembering who you are beneath the noise, and for reconnecting with the sacred wisdom that already lives within you. Before we begin, I want to offer a heartfelt thanks to our sponsor, Cosmic Connections. Their support for this podcast and this community is wonderful. You can receive 10% off your online purchase at yourcosmicconnections.com with the code Bertina Podcast 10. Yourcosmicconnections.com, Bertina, Bertena, Podcast 10. It's a beautiful way to support both your spiritual practice and the sanctuary, as well as a small business that I love so much. Now, wherever you are, maybe you're walking or resting or driving or just simply breathing, I invite you to gently step into the sanctuary with me. Let your shoulders soften, let your breath deepen, and there's nothing that you need to become or to be fixed. You've arrived at a sacred space. So let's begin. Welcome, everyone, to Spiritual Sanctuary. Today, we're stepping into one of the most magical moments of the year. It's a moment when the earth herself pauses, a moment when light and darkness stand in perfect balance. And it's a moment when life begins to return after the stillness of winter. Today, we're going to explore Ostara, the Spring Equinox, and the ancient goddess Eostre. This sacred seasonal celebration's been honored for thousands of years, and it's been honored by cultures across Europe and the ancient world, and it marks the turning of the wheel of the year, the return of warmth, the awakening of the soul, and the beginning of the growing season. But Ostara is not only about nature, it's about us, because the cycles of the earth are reflected within our own lives. And just as the earth rests in winter, we too go through seasons of stillness. Just as the seeds lie dormant beneath frozen ground, our dreams sometimes rest quietly inside of us. And just as spring eventually arrives, awakening the soil and stirring life beneath the surface, there comes a moment in our lives when we feel called to rise again. It's a time to begin again and to bloom again, and the spring equinox reminds us that life is always moving in cycles. Let's think about this for a moment. Darkness never lasts forever. The light always returns, and when it does, it invites us to awaken with it. And today we will explore the deep spiritual meaning of Ostara. We'll talk about the ancient goddess Eostre. We'll explore the symbolism of eggs and rabbits. And we'll look at how all these traditions eventually influenced Easter celebrations. We're going to discuss rituals and spiritual practices that you can use to honor the spring equinox. And later, if you stick around, I'm going to guide you through a meditation to help you connect with the energy of renewal and rebirth this season. So let's settle in. Let's take a deep breath and allow yourself to enter the sacred threshold between winter and spring. The word equinox comes from Latin, and it means equal night. Twice a year, the earth receives a moment where the length of the day and the length of the night are almost perfectly equal. This moment occurs during the spring and the fall equinoxes, and the spring equinox marks the turning point when the light begins to grow stronger than the darkness. And from this moment forward, the days become longer and the warmth begins to increase, the plants begin to grow, and life begins to stir across the natural world. For ancient cultures, this moment was incredibly sacred. People who lived close to the land depended upon the cycles of nature for survival. People would watch the skies, they'd observe the stars, and they paid attention to the movement of the sun. And they knew that the spring equinox marked the beginning of the agricultural year. It was time to prepare fields and plant seeds. It was time to begin again. But spiritually, The spring equinox represents something even deeper. It represents balance. It reminds us that the life contains both darkness and light, both rest and growth, stillness and action. And winter invites us inward while spring invites us outward. And this equinox, it sits directly between these worlds. To me, it's a doorway, a threshold, a portal, a sacred pause before movement begins again. And this is why the equinox can feel so powerful energetically. Many people notice this as they feel a sense of inspiration, a desire to create something new. And this is the energy of spring moving towards us. The earth awakens, and we awaken with her. Many times this is the time when we think about spring cleaning, opening up the windows, opening up the energy in our home, cleaning out what winter has kept within us, to release things that we don't need within our home, and allow the energy to flow. Now, one of the ancient figures that were associated with the spring equinox is the goddess Ostara. Her name is believed to be the origin of the word Easter. The earliest written references to her comes from the 8th century monk named Bede. He wrote about a spring festival held in honor of a goddess called Eostre or Ostara. This goddess was associated with dawn, fertility, renewal, and the return of light, and her energy, man, it represented the awakening of the natural world after winter. He said that she is the moment when the first flowers would bloom, and the moment when birds would return from migration, and the moment when seeds began to sprout beneath the soil. Many times she's described as a radiant goddess who travels across the land at dawn, bringing warmth and life with her. And when she walks, and where she walks, the earth becomes fertile again. Fields become green, and animals begin to give birth, and the world fills with color and movement once more. She's sometimes depicted surrounded by flowers and birds and rabbits, and these animals were sacred to her because they represent fertility and abundance. If we look back at ancient cultures, rabbits were symbols of incredible reproductive power. They could produce many offsprings, offering which made them powerful symbols of life and growth. Because of this and how they can produce offspring so quickly, they became sacred animals associated with the springtime goddess. The egg also became one of Esther's sacred symbols, and the egg is a universal symbol of creation. The egg itself represents potential because inside the egg exists the possibility of life, and this perfectly mirrors the energy of spring. Spring is the moment when potential begins to transform into reality, when dreams begin to take form, ideas begin to take action, and life begins again. Well, in this way, the goddess Esther represents not only the awakening of the earth, but also the awakening of our own inner life force. What is really awesome about her is that she reminds us that growth is always possible, even after the longest winter and the times of difficulty, and even after periods of stillness. Life always finds a way to bloom again. Now, we're going to talk about eggs. Eggs are one of the most ancient spiritual symbols known to humanity. It didn't just come during Easter. Across cultures and civilizations, the egg has represented creation, fertility, and the origin of life. And in many mythologies, the universe itself was said to have emerged from a cosmic egg. This egg contains mystery. It appears simple from the outside, but within it lies the potential for life. This is why eggs became such an important symbol during spring festivals. Spring is the season when life begins to emerge again, and birds lay eggs, and animals give birth, and seeds begin to grow, and that egg becomes a symbol of this miraculous renewal. Now, did you know that decorating eggs is also an ancient practice? Long before modern Easter traditions, people dyed eggs in bright colors to celebrate the arrival of spring. Red eggs, in particular, were really common in many cultures. The color red represented life and vitality and the energy of the returning sun. And by decorating eggs, people were symbolically honoring the creative force of life itself. Now think about this. Even today, when people decorate Easter eggs, they are unknowingly participating in a tradition that stretches back thousands of years. The egg remains a reminder that life is always renewing itself, and that within every ending, there's always the seed of a beginning. So let's move on and talk about rituals for celebrating Ostara. There are so many ways to celebrate this energy, and one of the simplest is creating a seasonal altar. You don't have to have a lot of money. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can decorate your altar with symbols of spring, such as like a flower, an egg, a seed, a green candle, bowls of water, maybe fresh herbs. And all of these items represent life returning to the earth. Another thing that you might do is to spend some time outdoors, noticing the changes happening in nature. I was looking out my window at work the other day, and there's usually beautiful trees, and they were still brown, and I was just sitting there wishing and waiting and watching for the trees to turn green. I wanted to notice the buds forming on them and the birds coming back and the little squirrels. And so I'm on spring break this time, and I hope when I come back there's just a little bit of buds, maybe a little bird there chirping. This is the thing. As we go through, as I'm looking out that window, I can feel the warmth of the sun growing stronger. I always love springtime because it invites us to reconnect with the natural world. It helps us, like I said before, throw open the windows, let the sun, let the air in. And spring invites us to do another beautiful practice, such as planting seeds. You can do this literally in a garden or symbolically through intention setting. You can write down the things that you wish to cultivate in your life this year, maybe creativity or healing or new opportunities in career, romance, or just life in general. And just as seeds need care and patience to grow, our intentions also need nurturing. The spring equinox reminds us that growth takes time, but with care, patience, and dedication, the seeds we plant today can become the gardens of tomorrow. Now, I'd like to take you on a guided Ostara meditation. I want you to settle into a comfortable position. I'll give you just a few moments. Close your eyes if you're guided to. And take in a slow, gentle breath. And then slowly exhale. Breathe in and breathe out. Allow your body to relax. Now I'd like for you to imagine that you're standing in a quiet meadow at dawn. The sky is soft with shades of pink and gold. The air feels fresh and cool. As you look around, you notice that the earth is beginning to awaken. You see little tiny flowers pushing through the soil. You may hear birds singing softly in the distance. And the first rays of sunshine begin to rise above the horizon. And as the light spreads across the meadow, you notice a figure approaching. She is radiant and gentle. As she walks closer, you notice that her presence feels very warm and peaceful. This is the goddess Esther. She carries the energy of renewal, of rebirth, of awakening. And in her hand, she holds a beautiful golden egg. This egg represents the seed of new life, and it's the potential for your future. She offers this egg to you, and as you take it and you hold it, you feel warmth spreading through your hands. Feel up your body and the warmth to your soul. Inside this egg is the energy of your next chapter, your dreams, your healing, your growth. Take a moment to ask yourself quietly, what is ready to awaken in your life? Allow whatever arises to simply appear without judgment. And trust the wisdom to come. And when you feel ready, just imagine placing this golden egg gently into the soil of the earth. You bend down, you touch the earth, you feel her motherly energy reaching up to take your golden egg. And as you do, you know that the seed of your intention has been planted. And in time it will grow. And as you sit there, you notice that the goddess is standing above this spot. She is looking at where you planted your seed, and beautiful sunshine is touching the spot. You know that your seed, that your egg, is protected and nourished. She holds out her hand and she gently asks you to walk with her. And you begin to walk and you talk and you tell her about the egg that you planted, the ideas, the intention that you would like for your next chapter. And you continue to walk with her. She continues to listen. You continue to become excited at all the possibilities around you. And as you continue to walk, you notice that there is a door or a portal in front of you. You take one deep final breath and you turn around and you thank her. And she is nothing short of being the brightest goddess ever, with the sun behind her, spring all around her. And as you step through the door, you bring this energy with her, her energy with you. And as you begin to slowly return to this moment, you take a deep breath in and you feel the vibration of something wanting to grow inside of you. Spring reminds us of something beautiful, even after the longest winter, even after darkness, and even after times when life feels frozen. The earth always remembers how to bloom again, and so do we. The energy of Ostara invites us to begin again, to trust the cycles of life, and to plant new seeds. It's time for you to step forward with hope. May this season bring you renewal. May it bring you inspiration. And may the light of spring awaken something beautiful within you. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay connected to the sacred rhythms of the earth. As we begin to close our time together, I want to thank you for spending this sacred moment with me here at the Spiritual Sanctuary. If today's episode resonated with you, I invite you to leave a comment or share this episode with someone who may need a little sanctuary of their own. As a thank you, everyone who comments or shares is entered into a drawing from our sponsor, Cosmic Connections, And it's a beautiful way to keep the magic flowing beyond time and space. And if you're longing for deeper connection, more guidance, and updates on both our online and impersonal spiritual sanctuary gatherings, I invite you to stay in touch with me by signing up with my newsletter at bertina.org. That's BERTENA.org, where I share upcoming events, rituals, reflections, and offerings created just for this community. Until we meet again, please be gentle with yourself, trust your inner knowing, and remember, this sanctuary lives within you. Thank you for being here.